Hi, good afternoon. My name is Dr Misia Gervis and I'm the Programme Director and I'm a sports psychologist by trade, but I'm responsible for looking at both of the courses. So generally speaking, the key aims of our courses are to prepare students for practitioner training. So particularly if you're wanting to become a sports psychologist practitioner or an exercise physiologist practitioner, then our MSc program prepares you for the next stage. We also prepare students for higher research degrees. So we know that a lot of students go on and they study PhDs, and that the MSc is a solid grounding for that bit of work. The difference I sense in terms of doing a postgraduate degree compared to an undergraduate degree is that we really focus a lot on your ability to be critical thinkers, independent thinkers, and be able to have the capabilities to critically analyse things. So these are broadly speaking, these are the aims of the courses. We have two courses that run. The first one is the MSc in Sport and Exercise Psychology, which is the BPS accredited program. And secondly, we have the Sport, Health and Exercise Sciences, which is suitable for BASES, or British Association of Sport and Exercise Sciences accreditation. So I'm going to speak first of all to the Sport and Exercise Psychology. Our course has actually had commendations from the BPS in terms of the quality of the course. And you can see that they are about the facilities that we have available, the knowledge base and the research expertise of the people who are actually delivering. So we have practitioners who are currently practicing, as well as eminent researchers who are creating new knowledge. So it's a good balance between the research expertise and the practitioner expertise, which I think is a unique strength of the program. Thirdly, we have a range of pedagogies, which is a posh word of saying how we do learning. So you will be exposed to different types of learning, different kinds of methodologies in terms of your assessment. So this was recommended or highlighted, if you like, by the BPS. And lastly, we were highlighted for the approachability of the staff and the supportive nature of the program team. So we're a small team, but students always comment on how accessible we are and how approachable individual staff are, which again I think is a strength of our program. It's a small and focused team, but you will feel very much part of the program, and that staff will know who you are, they'll know your name, which I think sometimes in undergraduate programs doesn't always happen. So these are some of the people who are actually going to be teaching you. You can have a little Google moment later. I won't go through each of them, but that's for information. So kind of going on to the actual modules and what's required of the sport and exercise psychology. So you'll see the first 4 modules in red. These are the ones that are compulsory, and partly they're compulsory because it's required by the BPS. So we have research and application in psychology of sports performance, which looks at developing applied skills to solving particular sports performance issues. Psychological skills for practitioners. This module is where you actually learn how to become a practitioner. So the kind of skills that you'll have are how to actually create a therapeutic alliance, how to work with individual athletes, and the assessment for this module, you have to actually do a live, an intervention with an athlete, and then you have to work from that to figure out how you're going to do an intervention. So it's very applied, and we look at a range of theoretical therapeutic models. So we'll look at CBT, we look at ACT, we look at REBT, for example, so we look at all those things. Social processes in exercise and sport looks at the understanding of group, so team cohesion, how people work together. That's the focus there. And then the individual differences almost does exactly the opposite and says, okay, so we need to have an understanding of who the individuals are, and how those individual differences might play out in terms of people's performance in both a sport and an exercise context. So the modules in blue are optional modules. So 5503, the professional development, this is quite a unique module whereby you actually create your own learning program and you decide what it is that you want to focus on for your professional development. So we've had, just to give you some examples of things that people have done, people have done things like gone on courses to learn about hypnotherapy, or somebody did an ACT course, or someone else did a coaching course because they wanted to develop their coaching skills. So you don't have to go on a course, but you can do a range of different things. Or performance lifestyle, which looks at some of the more challenging issues about being in an elite performance environment. So, you know, it's Mental Health Awareness Week this week, and that module looks at things like depression in athletes, things like addiction, the challenges of injury from, you know, what those consequences are. So we look at how those aspects, and often they're mental health aspects, actually impact on performance. So I think, you know, you get a broad range of modules, and they're all unique and they're all different, which means that you then get to understand where you want to specialize for your dissertation. So for those of you who want to become practitioners and want to go down the BPS route, the degree, the master's degree, does prepare you for that. That is stage 1 of the BPS training. And there is opportunities for stage 2 practitioner training. It says there physiology and biomechanics can be the focus, but it's a very broad course. And actually you have an awful lot of choice in terms of the modules that you actually do. So let's have a look at those. Oh, sorry. These are the team of people. So again, we've got a combination of people who have had a lot of practitioner experience. So Dr. Richard Godfrey, for example, has worked at a number of, he's an exercise physiologist, he's worked at a number of Olympic Games, to other people who are cutting edge in terms of research. So again, it's a broadly experienced team of people who will be delivering to you. The modules here, you have an awful lot of choice. So the one that is compulsory for you is physical activity and health, which is a multidisciplinary module whereby you look at certain problems. So for example, obesity, but you look at it from a psychological perspective, from a physiological perspective, and even from a kind of biomechanical perspective. So the idea is that we look at key health issues, but how different disciplines would actually understand those disciplines. You can see that a number of the psychology modules are also available to you. So 5520 and 5535 and 5524 and 5522 and 5521, which I've already spoken about. But on top of that, so you could, if you wanted to take this module, you could choose a number of psychology modules if that's what you wanted to do. However, the choice here is also the applied sports physiology, which you can see is a 30 credit module, so that's a double weighted module, as this has a combination of how you'd actually use physiological techniques in applied settings, and then the biomechanics of sport and exercise. The laboratory techniques is also an applied module where you actually learn how to use particular equipment. You think about how you can test certain things in the lab, and assessment is through your ability to actually use those techniques. So in terms of the what the students think about our courses. So these are some figures. So the PTS is a student satisfaction rating, and we found that we had 97% said that they had an overall satisfaction, and 99% for the excellence of teaching, 97% for the career and professional development, and importantly, everyone would recommend our courses to others. So I think from a student perspective, it's really important. It shows how we're delivering to the students to meet their needs, and that the quality of our teaching and the quality of our courses is exceptional. These are just some examples of some of the people, some of the governing bodies in sport that we have links to, that students have gone on to do either research projects with or have gone on to actually do work with. So just to give you a sense, some of these are connections that individual members of staff have. So there are opportunities to work following the degree in different places, and possibly connect with some of these organisations to complete your research. So Sapna Trehan is actually now a BPS accredited sports psychologist, and she did her MSc with us. What she says is, this course has been immensely beneficial in providing the necessary foundation and in shaping my development as a trainee sport and exercise psychologist. So she has now, she's now actually working in a range of different things. She's actually working in football at the moment, but she's the MSc provided that jumping off point, and I actually supervised her stage 2. So she's now a fully fledged, qualified, accredited sports psychologist. So thank you for your attention. I appreciate that I've gone through things quite quickly, but this is now your opportunity if you have any questions.
Thank you very much, Dr. Gervis. So just to reiterate that message, if you do have any questions, please type them into the questions box and we will answer them in the next couple of minutes. Just before we do get on to your questions, a few things to just make you aware of. First of all, we have an exciting postgraduate open evening next Wednesday from 4 p.m. to 7 p.m. If you're interested in attending, you can book your place by visiting our website, which is brunel.ac.uk. That's brunel.ac.uk, and you'll find an opportunity to book your place on our open evening next week. A few other things as well. If you applied for a course at Brunel and you do have any questions you'd like to ask about the course after this presentation, you're more than welcome to do so by emailing admissions@brunel.ac.uk, which you can see on your screen, or you can actually email Dr. Gervis directly, and your email address is
Misia.gervis@brunel.ac.uk.
Fantastic. So that's Misia, MISIA.Gervis, GERVIS @brunel.ac.uk. But if you haven't applied for a course and you have any questions, you can certainly email our inquiries@brunel.ac.uk email address, and they'll be able to help you as well. So we're waiting for a few questions from the crowd and just see if there's any that's come through. Yes, we do have one, so bear with me 1 second. Here we go. We got a nice question here from Robert. What's the minimum grade average to be considered for this postgraduate program?
Okay, so the minimum grade is a 2-2. If you are wanting to go on the sports psychology, the BPS accreditation, then we would look for the marks in psychology to be at least a 2-2.
Thank you very much, Dr. Gervis. We have another one here from Sam, who asks, what kind of job opportunities are there available after this course?
I think you have to specify which course it is that you're interested in, because the opportunities are quite different depending upon which course. Could you quickly type in which you're interested in?
Okay, yeah, oh, there we go. I think that is the sports psychology course.
Okay, fine. The sports psychology, the world of sports psychology is changing, and there are more opportunities than there have been. Certainly, if you look at the opportunities in football now, academies are having to hire sports psychologists. I think there's also more opportunities in terms of health and exercise, so issues around obesity, working in terms of GP referrals, and actually, you know, part of the problem is that people aren't able to adhere to exercise programs, and often it's for psychological reasons. So I think that there are different opportunities, but I also recognize that sometimes you're going to have to be creative and kind of develop those things for yourself, possibly as a consultant.
Thank you, Dr. Gervis. So we have another one here from Robert. Is Mcmaster University considered as an international recognized institution? I think we just need a little bit more detail on that, Robert. Could you let us know which country that university is located in? While we wait for Robert, we'll just take another quick question from Sam, who asked about the support opportunities from academics on the course. So I think this is along the lines of what kind of support is offered in terms of dissertation or anything else.
Lots of support, really. So the classes are pretty small, which means that you have lots of opportunities within class to ask questions. Staff are always available afterwards. We also have office hours every week that you can sign up to and meet an individual member of staff. The other thing is that you also have a student rep, so that sometimes the support can come through questions that get asked by a student rep. So I'd say that there's, you know, a lot of support available.
Thank you, Dr. Gervis. So we have feedback from Robert that Mcmaster University is in Ontario in Canada. So yes, to go back to his original question, is Mcmaster University recognized as an international recognized institution?
I don't know the answer to that, but obviously, you know, any international student that applies, when you apply, we look to make sure that the qualifications that you have are equivalent to UK ones, and so that is all dealt with through the international office. So if you're concerned about whether your university is actually recognised, my advice is get in touch with the international office at Brunel, and they will be able to answer that question.
Fantastic, thank you very much. Yeah, if in the first instance you could email inquiries@brunel.ac.uk with your inquiry, Robert, they'll be able to point you in the right direction to answer that particular question. So we've gone to another question now. This is from Laura. She says, online, I'm aware there is a course booklet that details module choices and credits for sports health and exercise sciences, but I was wondering if there are booklets for each module that breaks down the number of assessments, type of assessments, percentage weighting, and when assessments are due. If so, how do we access this now? Bit of a long one for you there, Dr. James.
Thank you. I think what you're asking for is the what we call the module guides, but module guides really are only given to students once they're actually enrolled on the course. And of course, the module guides detail everything that you've asked about. So you can't actually access them before you're on the course. If you have a particular issue about a particular assessment, I might be able to have the answer now. But also that would be the thing that if you came to the open day next week, then members of staff who are actually delivering the modules would be available, and they might be able to answer your specific question.
Excellent. Thank you very much, Dr. Gervis. So we are now reaching the end of the webinar. If there are any more questions you'd like to ask, please do so. We'll be open for another minute or so. So just to reiterate some of the contact details there, which you can see on your screen. So if you do have any questions, do please send it to one of those email addresses. We do have a last minute question that's coming here from Kevin. Kevin asked, is there a short internship included on this course?
The professional development allows you to do an internship. Is not specifically part of the course in terms of you, but the professional development would allow you to do it, because that allows you to set up your own learning contract, which of course you could meet through doing an internship.
Thank you. So we have another question here from Laura, who asks, what is the process in regards to MSc thesis topics? Do we choose our own, I assume? Are there a selection of supervisor topics to choose from, or a mix of these two?
So generally what happens with the MSc dissertation is that you will choose the topic that is of interest to you, and then the supervisor will be somebody who has expertise in that particular area. Sometimes lecturers have particular topics that they might be wanting students to help do the research with. So for example, I had a research topic that I was working with the PFA, that's the Professional Footballers Association, and we had about 4 bits of research that they wanted doing all about injury. And so those were then offered to students, and students who were interested in doing those particular topics were able to do so. So probably, you know, the mix of the two is the best answer.
Fantastic, thank you, Dr. Gervis. So I think that finishes all the questions we have for today. I'd like to thank you all very much for attending today, and I hope you found the session useful. A recorded version of this webinar will be available in a week or so, and that will be emailed to you. But I do wish you all the best in whatever path you may choose, and hopefully we'll see you in September. Thank you. Bye-bye.